welcome y'all to another episode of Byte-Sized Balance. Today, I got one of my guys here, Dom, the cyber genius. He been getting a lot of buzz online with his LinkedIn presence and doing a lot of being a good voice for the cybersecurity and the tech community. And I just wanted to bring him on and ask him a few questions as well as give his insights on the current job market and what he thinks about it. So, Dom, why don't you go ahead and tell him a little bit about yourself, and then we can dip into these questions here.
Yeah, for sure. First, thank you for having me on the show. It's definitely a blessed opportunity to be here. As far as who I am, I'm 21 years old. I grew up in the San Diego area. I'm from originally from Los Angeles, but grew up kind of in the San Diego, Las Vegas area as far as like my youth and high school life goes. As far as like me being interested in tech, I feel like that journey goes all the way back to when I was like in sixth grade. That's where I kind of started my love for technology. And just throughout the years, I've just tried to do a little bit of everything, whether that was coding, video editing in high school, and then cybersecurity now. So that's kind of how my journey has been. And I'm just grateful to be here and be able to finally do the things that I love to do.
Cool. Yeah, man. I see you. I be seeing you be hooping and stuff. So you, I guess you grew up playing basketball, huh? You know, in North Carolina. That's why I'm at. You know, we pretty much the hoop state. And
Yeah, yeah, it's always that battle between North Carolina or California or just any state who's like the best state at hooping. But yeah, I definitely grew up playing basketball, and I feel like a lot of those traits that you develop, like being able to play with a team, being able to be consistent, and just that hard work and dedication definitely translates into tech, or at least I was able to take those skills and translate it into my tech journey as well.
cool. Yeah, 'cause I played team sports too growing up. You played football. I played a little bit of basketball. I wasn't that good like rec league, but I mean, yeah. So that's explain how you feel like growing up in sports really helped you as far as your career goes as far as working in tech. I know you just touched on it, but like how you think? Do you think that's important? Like, you think that really affected how you work?
I think it's really important. The biggest thing I definitely believe it helps with is like your mindset and just being able to push through any challenges that you may face, right? Or just going through adversity. Because in the midst of a basketball game or a football game, you can be down a few plays, or you can be down by 20. And it's like, what are you gonna do at halftime? Are you gonna pout and sulk because you're not hitting shots, or are you gonna, step up, take ownership, and try your best to get back in the game? That's kind of the same thing within tech, because there's going to be a lot of times where you may not actually have a team and it's you. So what are you going to do when you do hit that adversity, or when you do fail that exam? Are you going to power, or are you going to get back to studying? So it definitely teaches you how to really grind, push through things, and have that persistence when it pertains to getting what it is that you want. So that I feel like definitely
Yeah.
sports has played a key and does help.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. For me, I feel like it's more the collaboration standpoint. Because you're on a team and you playing a team sport, everybody got their each particular job that they're supposed to be focused on. And you got to work together as a collective to make the mission, which is to win the game to finally happen. And I feel like
So
it's the
true.
same type deal when you're talking about corporate. You got
Mhm.
one person might be in compliance, one person might be SOC analyst, one person might be a manager, and y'all all got to work together collectively to reach the same goal. So I feel like that's
Sure,
definitely it can definitely be helpful. So
for sure.
so I see you in cybersecurity and whatnot. You a SOC analyst. You got a big following on LinkedIn. So what was some of your what was your methods really to like really grow, grow your content and connect with a lot of different people? Like how did you come about doing that?
Yeah, so I was actually in an internship when the founder of it was telling me like, "Hey, you guys need to start posting." And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Why?" And he's telling us because it helps build your brand and helps tell your story. And I realized that your resume can only tell so much. And it shows that on paper that you can do a job, but a lot of the times people forget that companies want to look for people that have good morale, who actually are a team player and who can fit within their system. So, you can have all the qualification in the world, but if you don't have good soft skills, you're probably not gonna get the job. So
Yeah.
he just told me to start posting, and that's kind of what I did. It took a while. I started posting around April 2021.
Yeah.
And I literally was just started posting about my journey and what I was doing. Like, hey, this is the course that I'm doing right now. This is what I'm learning right now. Even though it sounds boring, this is what I'm doing. I even had a little thing where I used to create this graphic where I would have word of the days, where I would explain one cyber word every day. And like I was posting 7 days a week for months on end. And then it wasn't until I had to sit down with people from my team, specifically my father, and he kind of was just telling me like, hey, you need to switch up your content because it's not getting the recognition it's getting, and also you're spending way too much time on it. So I kind of had to do a lot of research on the algorithm and understanding how LinkedIn works and what posts does it like, what posts does it not like, what hashtags and different things to use. And then from there, it was pretty much trial and error of creating the different pieces of content. And once I got more comfortable, I then started to do the content that you see today, which is the breaking the news articles down,
Yeah.
hooping, health and wellness, and other little tips that I can try to provide and just help people when it pertains to navigating this tech space.
Cool. Yeah, man. Definitely content can be a beast in itself. And like you said, it's a
Mhm.
full-time job in itself. Just finding time to actually record and, put the stuff out and, might not get the engagement that you want. But I feel like consistency, that's really what lets you grow. And it seems like you've been pretty consistent with that because every time you might touch somebody different and then that's all it takes for them to take the insight and move forward with it. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that because I had a video like my best video was like a GRC video that I had made and it got like
Mhm.
12,000 views on it. But I had a couple hit 1,000, but here and there is a couple hundred hit there. But everybody wants the big one that's going to blow up. But I just feel like consistency, that's going to take you to the finish line in the end, man.
Yeah,
But
it just takes time because there's been posts that I put wow that like I didn't put a lot of effort into it and it ends up being some of your biggest things, but that consistency where the platform is able to see you within the algorithm, one of those is going to hit. And then I think another tip within creating content is kind of finding your passion around content creation. I think in the beginning I just wanted to create it to get noticed by recruiters, but once I started seeing that my content was helping people and people are hitting me in the DM saying, "Yo, you inspire me.
yeah,
What can I do next?" It was like, now I want to start putting out the best piece of content for the viewer and how I can help them in any sort of way. So definitely the mindset with content creation has to change if you're trying to do it.
nice. Yeah, man. So, what made you want to get into cyber in the first place? I know I heard you talk about it on a couple other shows, but what really sparked your interest in cybersecurity, man?
Yeah, my journey is a bit different. So it was like a person that actually got me into cybersecurity. So he was one of my mentors. His name is William Sims, and he kind of just told me what cybersecurity really was. Because before that, all we're thinking is cybersecurity is just hackers, and you're in a dark room and you're on the
Yeah,
dark web and all this other stuff. And that's not the case. And he kind of just broke it down to me step by step. And what really got me hooked wasn't necessarily the salary, it was the fact that if I took cybersecurity serious, I could use it as a vehicle to put me like on the road to freedom,
yeah,
abundance, whether that's financial freedom, physical freedom, spiritual freedom, whatever it is, mental freedom, because within cybersecurity, you can make a certain amount of money and you can have your, you can at least buy your time back. And I feel like those are things that I wanted for myself. And then also it's always changing. It's something new. There's attacks that are coming out every second of every day of every week. So there's nothing stale really about it. Yes, I may get some repeat offender tickets within the SOC queue that I'm d doing, but for the most part, everything is always constantly changing, and I kind of like how you have to constantly adapt to it. So that's kind of why I got into cybersecurity.
Yeah, I agree, man. Tech is one of the only fields like where you can get in and you really control your own destiny. You can specialize in whatever you want to specialize in, and if something ain't working, you can pivot to something else. And it's like you said, it give you the income to really grow. It's one of the only fields where you can gain experience and level up and jump your salary $30,000 to $40,000 just off. experience when in less than a couple years. So that
Right.
really opened the game up. And like you said, financial freedom and all of that. I'm all about that, man. And I definitely agree with you on that. So what was the exact first steps you took? So I see you you went to college a little bit, or did you just get a certification? Like how did you learn the basics? Like as far as like networking and did you take an A plus? Like what was your roadmap when you first started?
Yeah, so actually, I started with an internship. So my mentor that I mentioned earlier, he allowed me to be a part of his program. So that's kind of what gave me like my first real taste of cybersecurity and just experience in general. So that internship was more centered around Blue Team. For those that don't know, Blue Team is like the defensive side of cybersecurity. And that's kind of where I learned the basics and just understanding like how attacks happen, why cybersecurity is even important. People tend to forget about that, and how to just improve my writing because that's a very underrated skill to have, especially if you're a SOC. You have to be able to write up different analysis and, even just helping prep for interviews. So I feel like that internship really kind of put me forward and gave me the hands-on experience that I actually needed. And I didn't even get my first certification till after I was a year and a half into my first role, which was like a system analyst position. So that was
Oh
like
wow,
I was doing help desk. I was luckily and blessed enough to actually land that role before I even graduated high school. So that's how
nice.
much the internship helped me because I started it when I was a senior. And I like to say that I think so many people get caught up in chasing certs or just learning tools without actually understanding like the core material or core stuff. Like I feel like it's important to take the time to go learn how networking works, the different types of malware out there, or even just learning how to like read the news properly. I feel like the
Mhm.
fundamentals get lost and it's kind of it's an art in a sense. And how I was able to learn the fundamentals outside of the internship was definitely going on and taking a handful of courses, whether that was from Udemy. I did a lot of Try Hack Me
Yeah.
a lot and just going through all the little rooms that they had. And then another platform called Let's Defend, which is more specifically on like
Yeah.
blue team stuff. That's kind of how I was able to learn. And just a lot of early mornings and late nights, but it's worth it in the end.
It is, man. Yeah, definitely. I got the same experiences, like you said, Udemy, YouTube. You'd be surprised how much stuff is actually on YouTube. You said, yeah, just studying for different certs, and I done failed a lot of certs, man. I done failed certs, passed certs, but at the end of the day, it's all just a collective knowledge. But I feel like the most important is really getting that hands-on experience. That really outweighs pretty much everything that you can do on your own because they like to talk, they like to hire people that actually done what they're hiring you for, or at least
Right.
have a gist of what it really is. So I really feel like that internship really probably helped you a lot in your career. Don't you feel like?
Yeah, it did. I just don't think I navigated the job space as well as I should have. I thought once I got an internship, six figures was gonna come like
Yeah.
like that. But obviously it didn't. So I think I just had to change my mindset on a lot of things and like really buckle down and start putting in a lot more work because I feel like the internship gave me all the fundamentals. It was just from there I needed the experience with the actual tools. So
Yeah.
that's when I then went on to Udemy and all these courses and, started learning Splunk, started learning these EDR tools, started going through and learning these frameworks. And then from there, creating my own projects within that and just applying as much as I can and creating my content on LinkedIn. And that's kind of where I was able to get a lot of my interviews, but for sure, it definitely helped.
So what do you think people get wrong right now? Like people trying to break in, these everybody wants to gun in the tech. What do you think is the main thing that they're not doing right now? Because you see these people come out, you see these people on LinkedIn, they say, I've been applying to 300, 400 jobs and I haven't been getting no screenings, no interviews or nothing. Like, what do you tell those people? Like, what is your advice to them to actually try to get in the field, man?
I think the biggest things is mindset. I know we can all sit here and say, "Oh, it's social media or people are getting into it for the wrong reasons." there's nothing bad if you want to get into it for the money. I understand that, but just know that you may not be fulfilled in the end. But I think the biggest thing they get wrong is kind of just a mindset. A lot of people come into tech with a mindset that is closed and that is limited. They think there's only one way to make it, or there's only certain roles that matter because on social media, that plays a really good part, and they do a really good job of highlighting, I guess, the cool roles like your ethical
Yeah.
hacking or working at a FANG company or, being a YouTube content creator. But it
Yeah.
doesn't really show the other in-demand jobs that actually help all those things work. Like, when was the last time you heard somebody or a content creator be like, hey, you should be a network engineer?
Right.
Right? So it's like it's those type of things that I feel like people get wrong, and they have to realize there's an opportunity everywhere. But if your mind's not open to it, you're gonna miss it. And I always say, move with an abundance mindset. Tech isn't just one path; it's definitely a wide space, and I feel like if you approach it that way, you'll be able to find your lane because it's so diverse.
And I agree, man, because like I specialize in identity and access management, like Microsoft system administration. I like Windows servers and IAM, and that's really like a niche skill set that not a lot of people are interested in, but it can still make you the big money if you specialize in it and you know what I'm saying, if you're something that you're interested in. And you're right, they like to push ethical hacking and red teaming and stuff like that, but you're
Hmm.
right, people don't realize how broad tech actually is. So I feel like once you find your pocket and your niche that you specifically want to specialize in, then you can grow from there. So I agree with that.
For sure. And that niche you said, that's definitely another one too. I feel like people jump in too fast without taking the time to figure out what it is that they actually do. You see, like again, social media, like there's good content
Yeah,
creators that are out there, like, your Simone Bies's, your Courtney Hayes's, and those type of people. But
Henry
what
Davis, shout out my guy. I don't
Henry
know.
Davis, yep.
Yeah,
Tech Woke as well. Those
yeah,
are all, great people that put out really good content that actually help people. But there's also these content creators that be like, oh, you can get this in 30 days, or you just get one cert and you can get into
yes,
cyber or
exactly.
whatever it is in 60, and it's just a false advertisement. And then you start studying random certs and jumping from one path to another, and you're not really having that niche, like you said. So I think taking the time to slow down, learn those fundamentals, and understand what it is you exactly want to do will definitely save you a headache in the future.
Nice. Yeah, man. So what does your life look like as a SOC analyst, man? Like walk me through your daily, like how is that like, man?
Hmm. The early bird gets the worm. My day pretty much starts at 5 a.m. Since a
Hmm.
lot of my team works on Mountain Standard Time, I have to get up at 5 a.m., whereas they get up, I believe, at 6. And then I work at an MSSP, so we get to support multiple clients. I feel like that's something that's very underrated if you get a chance to be a SOC analyst. I know some companies where you only do SOC work for internal things, but with an MSSP, you have different clients, which allows you to get exposed to different tools. So I'm working with things like Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, Sentinel One. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing those right. I don't know if y'all pronounce it Sentinel or Centennial,
Yeah,
but
Sentinel. Yeah.
yeah, um, OpenSearch, and then some other stuff, some other SIM tools as well, like CrowdStrike and some other EDRs. But I'm pretty much checking the queues and seeing what alerts and tickets come up. Some days it's busy, some days it's not. And, I'm checking the different platforms that we use, not just our main ticketing system. And then pretty much for the most of the day, I'm just lurking through the alerts, creating my analysis, and then going into each tool to make sure I'm able to get evidence for that specific ticket to say like, hey, this is actually what's happening and this is what's not happening. And then if I need to escalate it, I'll do so. I'm also talking to different clients via email, and it's kind of like the whole nine. So I definitely enjoy it. And then when I do have downtime or when I do have time where the queue isn't crazy, that's where I use that time to actually learn other things, taking courses on the tools that I use, editing content, and just doing stuff that can help better not just my actual skill set, but my mental health as well. And I feel like that's kind of the cheat code if you get to work from home, or even if you do work in the office, take the time when you do have the downtime to actually continue to learn, because that's the only way you're going to be able to elevate.
Cool, man. Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot you said there. So yeah, this is one of the last questions here. But so all right, so somebody comes to you in high school right now and say,
Mhm.
Dom, I want to be a SOC analyst in 12 months, you know what I'm saying, or in the near future. Um, what actionable items would you tell them today if they wanted to be in your position?
That is a great question. I'm gonna give a few action items on like personal mindset stuff, and then I'll give some on like the actual technical expertise. But one, understand it's going to take time. This isn't something that is going to happen overnight. I feel like cybersecurity
Yeah,
has gotten a bad rap on people thinking that it's some get rich quick scheme, or you
exactly.
can do this or not, when in reality, it's not. It's the backbone of every industry, and you have to learn it precisely to be able to actually understand what's going on. And I would say try to figure out your why as early as possible and understand the reason you're getting into cybersecurity for the first place. A lot of the things that you're going to do in the beginning of your career, especially, it's going to be self-taught. And there's going to be a lot of long days, early mornings, late nights, and that why and the reason why you want to do something is what's going to push you through those actual stages. And then I would say find your niche and understand what it is that you want to do within cybersecurity, or just, the specific role that you're trying to get into, because cybersecurity can be very diverse. There's the ethical hacking side, there's the blue team side, and then there's also GRC where you can work with compliance. So definitely take the time to research and find what it is that you like, whether that's watching day in the life videos, whether that's going on LinkedIn and communicating to certain people. Do what it is that you need to do to learn what you actually want to do in this industry, because there's no point in wasting your time and also wasting your money, especially in this economy. We don't got time for that.
Yeah,
And then I would definitely say from there, start learning the basics of cybersecurity. It may take you 2 to 3 months to do this. Understand how malware works, in the sense of what are the types that are out there, what are the different cyber attacks, how do you read the news, your writing skills, networking, understanding operating systems. You don't have to like understand how to build a Mac or build a Windows, but you should understand what these tools are, what are the different processes that you would see on a Mac versus a Windows, and just little stuff like that. And then another thing that I feel is a little bit underrated that people tend to forget too is, after you've learned the fundamentals, go learn the fundamentals of your niche. I feel like you
yeah,
can't be a penetration tester if you don't know what a pen test is, if you don't know
right.
what a rule of engagement is, or what is the difference between white box, gray box, and black box type of test, and what you get access to. So take the time to learn the fundamentals, and then from there, go then learn those tools. And specifically, as far as my role goes, being a SOC, I'd say the main tools that we use is a SIM tool, so security information event management, so something like a Splunk or an Elastic. I would say to learn after you've learned everything that I said before that. We also use EDR tools, so endpoint detection and response, so being able to detect and respond to like each individual endpoint on the network. So this could be a computer, it can be a printer, it could be a phone. So tools like
Carbon black.
Sentinel-1,
That's what
Carbon
we.
Black, CrowdStrike. I know CrowdStrike, because some of these tools you might not be able to get them because they do require licenses, but tools like a Splunk and CrowdStrike and Elastic that are a little bit more known, they kind of you can get free trial licenses to try those out. So definitely make sure you take advantages of those, and then take the time to use those courses from those tools or whatever you can find, and continue to learn. And if you want to get certifications, you can. I think Security Plus is a good start, and then from there figure out what it is that you want to do, because that'll determine what other certs that you want to get. And then I would just take the time to continue to do that, and push through. And at a point in time, there will be a time where you have to make sure your LinkedIn is on point, make sure your resume is on point, but make sure you are taking your absolute time to learn the fundamentals and get yourself acclimated so then you can then start applying to jobs. I feel like there's no point to apply to things when you have no experience or when you haven't done really anything yet. So I would kind of tell them that's kind of what they should do.
I agree, man. You know, like I tell people, man, I try to tell people you need to try to get his hands-on experience as quickly as possible because that can really, I feel like, sets people apart in the job market when somebody's trying to hire you or not. Because like I said, you can have all the experience in the world. I mean, you can do all the certs and stuff in the world, but if you haven't touched anything, a lot of jobs won't be willing to bite on you. So, like I said, definitely learning on your own, and definitely, like even if you had to volunteer, if you got to go somewhere and work for two
Yes.
weeks and you do a little unpaid internship just to get something on your resume, I mean, every little bit helps. And quicker that you can get your hands on something, the quicker you can get a job. So, yeah, let's go
So,
ahead and
so
jump
true.
into these few shorts here. We kind of running out of time here, but let me go ahead and share this screen with you, then we can react to these.
Let's do it.
Let's see. All right. All right, let's see what this guy's saying here.
Start in cybersecurity because you think you need a load of experience to land a job, then here are three entry-level cybersecurity jobs that you can apply for. Number one is a SOC analyst, and basically in this role, you'll be monitoring networks and systems for potential threats. You'll be working with tools like Splunk or other SIM platforms to detect anomalies like unauthorized access or unusual traffic. Think of it like being a digital security guard, constantly looking for red flags. This is one of the best entry points into cybersecurity, and most companies will train you on the tools that you need to know. Number two is IT help desk with a cybersecurity focus. This is a great way to get hands-on experience with IT systems whilst also getting cybersecurity fundamentals down. You'll handle things like resetting secure passwords, troubleshooting hardware or software issues, and even spotting potential security gaps. Many people start here and quickly move into a more specialized cybersecurity role once they've built up a strong foundation in IT and system management. And finally, number three is a GRC analyst, which stands for governance, risk, and compliance. And this is perfect for anyone who likes the policy side of cybersecurity. You'll basically be working on ensuring that an organization complies with certain security standards like the ISO 27001 or the NIST framework. Your job might involve documenting risk assessments, reviewing security processes, or working with teams to implement certain controls that they need. And it's not a super technical role, but it's still highly valuable and well paid. So if that's something you're looking for, this is the perfect role for you. And these are the roles I would recommend if you're just starting out. And if you need more advice on how you can land one of these jobs, then be sure to leave a follow because I'll be making more follow-up videos on that.
Yeah, I feel it was a good video. I think sometimes people can get misconstrued on like having zero experience. I think what he probably meant was like you don't necessarily need to have a previous job to, get those type of roles. Those are more of like on the entry level side, but then again, you still have to be pretty technical for like a SOC analyst position.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I feel like everything he said was pretty accurate. Those are the three main roles that, people usually use to get in as you're a SOC analyst now. Like I said, I started on the IT help desk side and specialized
Same
in
here.
identity and access management. So I feel like what he said was pretty accurate, and I feel like that's pretty solid advice. We're gonna look at one more here. Let me see. Let me see this guy. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
In cybersecurity, nobody knows where to start. This is your cybersecurity career roadmap for beginners. California edition. This doesn't have to be done in California, but it does work in California too. In fact, this has worked for 115 students across 11 countries all over the world. First, you start with your base of certifications, Network Plus, Security Plus, Azure 900, and Splunk Core. This is not a random list. This is going to give you networking theory, security theory, a very basic introduction to cloud, and a very basic introduction to SIM. Then we are going to learn our foundational skills in Linux, Python, and traffic analysis. The combination of all 7 of these things is going to prepare you to potentially be a network security engineer. I would know because I am one. And you need an e-portfolio to showcase your work, a professionally done resume, and you need to apply to a lot of jobs. If done right, this can be done in 3 to 6 months. Starting salaries as high as $118,000 a year. We say 90K in 90 days for a reason, because you too can get there with a little bit of luck and a lot of effort. Hope that helps. Questions or comments below. All for more. And if you want the full breakdown on how to start your cybersecurity career in 90 days, making 90,000,
Yeah. So I'll get my take first on that one. Only thing I
Yeah.
disagree with is what he said there is getting all that stuff in 3 months. Maybe six. It's possible if you really lock in, maybe six, but three, that's kind of pushing it for all of that. But I mean,
Yeah.
definitely I feel like he gave some good insights there. What you think?
I think he did too, but then again, you have to realize a platform like TikTok, people's attention span is going to be very short. So like they may
Yeah.
see the graphic and be like, "Oh, take a picture," and then that's what I'm gonna go do. But you have to realize that a lot of those certs do cost money, and
Yeah.
him saying that getting it in 3, 6 months, whatever the time frame was, like just those four, just this network plus security plus alone, now it's probably $800. I'm pretty sure that video is a little bit older, but just that, I know a lot of people coming out of high school and different stuff like that may not be able to afford those things. So I would say like his information isn't totally misleading, but I would try and work on the actual hands-on experience side of doing these personal labs or going through these courses. And you don't necessarily always have to take the certification. There's, somebody like a
Right.
Professor Messer where you can go on YouTube and just learn the material and then just put what you've learned on your resume.
Right.
And I feel like what could have made that video a little bit better is if he would have started and said like, "Hey, this is a roadmap to a network engineer, not,
Right.
totally
To get into
cybersecurity." And
cybersecurity, yeah.
yeah, and I, I think it could be done. Maybe I don't think it could be done in 3 months. I think that's pushing it. And especially if you're trying to like master something like coding, which is a whole nother language, that's going to take months, even years for some certain people. So I think it was a little bit misleading. He still provided good information, but I wouldn't get too much caught up on the certs part.
Yeah, bro. So that's gonna pretty much wrap it up here, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on, man. We probably talk some more in the future, but I feel like this
Hmm.
video gonna get a lot of traction, man. A lot of
Hmm.
people need to hear this type of stuff, and somebody young like you coming in and killing it, man, in the game right now. You felt like it was only right to bring you on and get your voice and your opinion on a lot of things, man. So, why don't
Thank
you
you.
tell everybody where they can find you at, man?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's my first and last name, Dominic, Dominic, and then last name is Allegretti, Alegrete. And that's the same for my Instagram and then all my other platforms, TikTok and YouTube. It's Dom the Cyber Genius. The genius part is all capitals, Genius, and that's kind of where you can find me. And then I also have a newsletter as well that's within Beehive that I could share with you. Um, or maybe we could put it in the description or something, but I just do it once a month where I give, my update and my story on, what I've been doing for that month. I feel like it's the best way to communicate with all the people you've connected with because, we've all been to conferences and sometimes we forget like, oh, we were supposed to contact him a few months ago, but we didn't. So I feel like that's kind of what I do with it. And I just try to provide also security updates, health and wellness tips, and, other things to just really optimize your time while you're in, tech or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Y'all make sure y'all follow Bite Size Balance.